Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Helvers Here podcast. Today I'm going to be talking about NoFap streaks and binging to pornography. So I'm going to start off by just sharing a bit of a little story, I suppose. Just kind of my experience, I guess, of struggling with porn addiction. So back in the day, I used to go on these NoFap streaks. If you've been here a while, you probably know me pretty well by now. I've almost done like 300 episodes or something ridiculous here. So, you've probably heard me quite a bit, but if you've not been around that long, basically my story is got addicted to porn around the age of like 12, something like that. Actually only discovered it was a problem at about age 16, had erectile dysfunction. I was like, okay, what the hell's just happened here? Went online, discovered the whole NoFap thing, was like, all right, maybe I've got a problem with porn. Started to go on streaks. They'd be really low at first, and then the streaks would get longer and longer, but I would always end up relapsing. Over time, my thought patterns were arguably becoming more and more irrational. So the addicted part of the mind was starting to take more and more control, despite the streaks actually getting a bit longer. And then what would happen is I'd go on one of these streaks and I'd relapse. And then the addicted part of my mind, because we always teach there's these different parts in the mind. So the addicted part of the mind would then basically say something like, all right, you've been on a little streak, Tom, You're going to want to go on another streak and you're going to want to never watch this, you're never going to look at this content again. All right, so what we're going to do, Tom, we're going to watch as much porn as possible. Like, that's what the addicted part of the mind would be saying. So it's like, okay, let's look at more content, let's look at more and more and more. And then it'd kind of say like, all right, so, obviously you don't want to keep on relapsing over and over and over. I've got an idea. How about you go look at that more extreme kind of novel content? Let's go look at that. And here's what's going to happen. You're going to be so repulsed by that content. It's going to misalign so much with your values that if you look at this stuff here, you're never going to want to watch porn again, ever again, all right? And this is going to be the last time you watch porn. So go look at this content here, and it's going to be the last time, and you're never going to do it again. This is your last opportunity. Go look at that content. That's what would actually be going on in my mind on some level. Maybe it was in like the subconscious back then. I don't know. We don't really use the terms subconscious much inside the Beyond Compulsion method. But that's kind of what I would be like in the past. Like, that was my headspace. Is like, all right, last time ever, gonna just keep on looking at this content. Doesn't really matter if I end up taking it pretty extreme. Kind of just fuck it, really. Like, that was my mentality, is just fuck it. Like, this is gonna be the last opportunity I've got. It would lead me to looking at some pretty weird shit on the internet. As you probably know yourself, there's some weird stuff out there. There's no shame or judgment here. I've been there. It's just, there's a lot of degeneracy online. There's a lot of just kind of disgusting stuff. And I'd orgasm and finish, and I'd be like, what the hell? Like, I'd just be repulsed by it. I'd be like, ew, like, what? Like, why was I looking at that shit? Like, what the hell? Nothing illegal, but just really just bad stuff, just not good stuff. And it kind of tarnished my soul. I'd be carrying so much shame. I'd lack integrity. Like, the next day, I remember going into the office and I'd be looking at someone, and all that's going through my mind is can this person tell? Can this person tell what I've just looked at? I would feel such a heavy burden of shame. It was horrible. It was a really, really dark time in my life. And what I want to talk about is just this binge cycle. And the reason I bring this up is I was talking to a guy literally this morning. We talk to guys all over the world. This guy was on the other side of the world, and I was talking to this guy this morning. And what we were talking about is how he had also gone down kind of a similar path. I'm not going to get into all the ins and outs, but essentially he'd been down a little bit of a similar path where he'd gone on these streaks and then he'd ended up relapsing, after a period of time. And the problem we have, and this is a problem that a lot of men have nowadays when they're trying to overcome porn addiction, and perhaps women as well, although so far we haven't worked with women on this specifically anyway, with the porn addiction, but I'm sure there is women out there who struggle as well. But the problem we have is a lot of people believe that the frequency of porn use is very relevant, and they believe that, okay, if I'm only watching it once every few weeks, oh, I'm only watching it once every few months, oh, that doesn't really matter. But that is just bullshit coming from the addicted part of the mind. Like, your frequency of porn use is so irrelevant to the actual consequences of being in a porn addiction. I'm going to say that one more time, actually. Didn't plan that. I don't really plan these videos that well, as you can probably tell. But yeah, this is so important. So listen up again. The frequency of your porn use is irrelevant to the consequences of your porn use. What I mean by that is 10 years of porn addiction. My streaks got longer and longer and longer, but this addiction lived in my head rent-free for many of those years, even when I'd go on the streaks of like 90 plus days. Like, even on those streaks, I would feel so deprived. Like, there was this thing I really wanted because my brain was wired to have these desires, and I felt like I couldn't have it. And it led to agitation, frustration, being annoyed with myself, an obsession with self-improvement, an obsession with trying to avoid all the triggers, an obsession with staying busy, distracting myself, doing everything I could to try run away from this part of my mind, the addicted part of my mind. And so it destroyed my life in so many ways. And it felt like there was these two parts, like part of me, which people knew, like maybe from like my running club or like my friends from school or like my family or my partners, like relationships and stuff. Like, there was this part of me, like the Tom that a lot of people would see. But then there was this other part, like behind sort of closed curtains, which a lot of people never really saw. And like, a lot of people didn't know that part of me. And so I couldn't live with integrity for a long time. And it just destroyed me. It honestly was like the worst mental conflict. Like, part of me wanted to keep on relapsing. Part of me wanted to stop. I was just in this inner battle. And so what I just want to get across is like, number one, the thought pattern of like, I'm never going to do it again is just bullshit, junky thinking. It's way off in the future. Number two, thinking about not watching porn is a graveyard goal, because literally anyone in a graveyard is able to not watch porn. The goal should always be like actually choosing to do something, like changing your neural pathways, which requires training and repetition. And then the other thing to just really, really consider here is, going on a streak and thinking you're making progress and then relapsing, and then going on another streak thinking you're making progress because the streak is longer, and then relapsing again. Big picture, when you zoom out of all of that and you look at it over like the time you've been in that addiction, all it is you're in an addiction. You're just managing, controlling an addiction. But what's happened is online, there's all these NoFap people, all these semen retention people, all these guys talking about this problem and minimizing it because they've got no idea how to actually deal with the addicted part of their mind. They have no idea what to do when they actually have the compulsive desire in their own mind. And so they're running from it, and then spreading all this stuff on the internet and basically saying like, okay, it's fine if you reduce your frequency. Oh, slip-ups happen. Oh, relapse is part of recovery. And it's all bullshit. And it doesn't have to be that way. Like, it is possible to stop this behavior, stay stopped correctly, and feel good about it for good, like long-term, in a sustainable way. And the only way to do that is by understanding that there's these different parts in your mind. You've got the rational part of the mind, the addicted part of the mind, the child self. Once you navigate these different parts and you understand the addicted part of the mind and its strategies and its tactics, and you learn exactly how to deal with it very directly in a repetitive way over and over and over, you can just lock in then and you're good. And you're not going to worry about relapsing again. But what I just want to get across is like, don't measure your success by the frequency of porn use. Because if you look at the consequences in your life of this problem, a lot of the time it's just going to be the fact that you've told yourself, I'm going to stop this like I did for 10 years. I'm going to stop this behavior. I'm never going to do it again. You'd have all this motivation, and then weeks or months go by and you relapse again. And that self-trust just erodes over time, and it can ruin your life. So if you're still struggling with this today, don't fall for the bullshit from the addicted part of the mind saying it's going to be the last time or whatever. Instead, learn a way to deal with this problem directly. All right, we can help you at the Beyond Compulsion Academy. So leave your number on the compulsion test. I'll give you a call. I can then literally explain to you how we can do this together, and you can solve this problem and overcome it for good. But it's not going to happen by going on streaks. And the reason for that, by the way, is because every time you relapse, you strengthen the addicted neural pathways, and it's acting on the desire, which creates more desire to engage again. The only way out of this problem is to stop completely and stay stopped. And that's how you're going to have the long-term freedom, peace of mind. And you're going to get to a position where, you know, you look back on it and it's like, wow, like you see it as a whole package of like being in an addiction. Like that is the package. And you can't have both. Like you can't have a bit of watching porn here and there every few months and be free from addiction. It's like you're either in it or you're out of it. And I know that's a very binary way of looking at things, but I just think someone's got to say it, because everyone else is going to say relapse is part of recovery. So there we go. We'll leave the compulsion test below. You know, if you want to start taking this problem seriously, complete the compulsion test, and I might see you on the other side of that. Cheers for listening, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.